Hi everyone and welcome. This statement summarizes our assessment of the situation involving Buy2Sell Vietnam, related Buy2Sell entities, and LLHP. It is based on the agreements, formal notices, emails, WhatsApp exchanges, and supporting documents reviewed. What follows is our assessment of the documented record and of the sequence of conduct evidenced across that record. At the beginning of the relationship, Buy2Sell and its representatives were highly active, commercially engaged, and persistent in moving the project forward. Contracts were finalized. The marketing contribution was pursued. Payment follow-up was constant. Sample shipments were coordinated. The project was presented as a serious and structured market entry initiative for Vietnam. The agreements were clear. A marketing contribution was requested and paid. A first purchase order was expected within the agreed contractual timeframe. If that did not occur, the agreements contemplated reimbursement of the marketing contribution. Stay with me until the end because the final part connects the record in a way that makes the wider accountability question much harder to ignore. What happened afterward was fundamentally inconsistent with that commercial presentation. Once the marketing contribution had been received, the rhythm of the relationship changed sharply. Communication slowed down, responses became delayed, generic, and often did not address the key outstanding questions. Follow-up became inconsistent. Periods of silence extended for weeks at a time. At the same time, the local marketing execution repeatedly referenced as part of the Vietnam rollout never became visible in a form that could be properly reviewed, approved, or verified. Local content and regional marketing development were invoked, but the reviewed record does not show meaningful deliverables that substantiated that execution. The record also shows a continuous shift in the stated reason why implementation could not move forward. The operative threshold kept changing. Payment, logistics, registration documentation, certificates, notarization, legalization, stock, internal approval. Each time one issue appeared to be addressed, another issue took its place. Despite repeated representations that implementation was progressing, the reviewed record does not evidence a first purchase order. It does not evidence the expected sales conversion, and it does not evidence execution commensurate with the funds paid and the assurances given. By the end of 2025, the discrepancy between representation and reality was no longer explainable as ordinary delay. The promised commercial outcome had not been delivered, the contractual milestones had not been met, the reimbursement obligation had been triggered, yet no reimbursement followed. A formal reimbursement request was issued. A formal termination notice was then sent. Even then, no reimbursement was executed, and no response resolved the outstanding contractual and commercial issues. This pattern is made more serious by an earlier point in the relationship. Concerns regarding Buy2Sell's reliability had already arisen. Those concerns were significant enough that formal reassurance was requested. In response, Buy2Sell issued a signed official statement affirming integrity, transparency, ethical standards, compliance, corporate governance, and financial stability. That document is important. It shows that credibility was not merely assumed, it was explicitly questioned, it was explicitly addressed, and it was explicitly reinforced in writing. When that written reassurance is compared with the later conduct, the contradiction becomes difficult to ignore. Delayed communication, missing verifiable execution, no evidenced first purchase order, no reimbursement, and no meaningful resolution after formal notice. Our assessment is that this was not simply a failed commercial project. It was not merely poor execution. The documented pattern raises serious concerns about the way the arrangement was structured, presented, and then handled after the marketing contribution was received. The issue is not delay. The issue is the combination of early trust building, contractual packaging, implementation messaging, receipt of the marketing contribution, repeated postponement, insufficiently evidenced execution, non-performance against the key commercial milestone, non-reimbursement, and unresolved formal notice. At a minimum, the record raises serious concerns about good faith performance, contractual reliability, and commercial accountability. More seriously, the record raises a legitimate question as to whether the Vietnam rollout was ever supported by execution consistent with the representations made before payment. That is the central issue. Any company reviewing this matter should pay close attention to the gap between what was represented in writing and what was actually delivered in practice. Commercial due diligence should not stop at contracts, presentations, or reassurances. It must also examine execution, evidence, accountability, and what happens when reimbursement obligations are triggered. For those reasons, I consider this matter exceptionally serious. Recovery remains the first objective, but documentation continues because the matter remains unresolved, and broader visibility is necessary so that other companies can make informed decisions before committing funds, signing distribution agreements, or relying on similar market entry representations. The record is expanding because the structure appears broader than it was originally presented, and until the matter is resolved, the documentary record remains relevant. Thank you and stay tuned.